Hey guys, and welcome back into the channel. Today we are going to be starting something new on this channel, and that is reviewing old WWE events from my favorite era in the WWE's history. And I think this is going to cause some stir among people because most people will not agree. I know I'm out on a limb here, kind of by myself with this opinion. My favorite era of the WWE and its history is the Ruthless Aggression era. I know most people love the whole, Attitude Era time frame. That's everybody's kind of favorite, period. And I like it. It's definitely my second favorite. But I've always been just more fond of the Ruthless Aggression era. I think part of it is the fact that, the Attitude Era, I was so little. I didn't watch it all at that point. The guys from the Attitude Era that I love and still look up to this day, they're people I watched more during the Ruthless Aggression era. For instance, like an Undertaker. I remember him better in the Ruthless Aggression era. I started watching WWF when he was actually the American Badass. I started watching in the early part of 2002, maybe the end of 2001. I kind of just missed the whole invasion storyline, and maybe a little bit after that. But that's about when I got into it. 2002 really is the year where I really remember things. Obviously, with the WWE Network available, I've went back and watched many episodes of Raw in the Attitude Era, and I like it. But there's just things that I find to be better about the Ruthless Aggression era. Match quality. I like all the little backstage skits and stuff they do in the Ruthless Aggression era. The one thing is, yes, the bigger stars from the Ruthless Aggression era aren't quite as good. Like, for instance, you think of the Ruthless Aggression era, a lot of times you think of Cena, you think of Triple H, you think of Batista. Those guys, I will agree, are not on the level of a Stone Cold and a Rock. But outside of that, I think particularly match quality and just roster depth is bigger and better in the Ruthless Aggression era, and with that combined with the nostalgia factor that I feel towards the Ruthless Aggression era that I don't feel towards the Attitude Era is why I view that as my favorite era in the WWF's history. So we're going to be going back in time. I'm not committing to, I'm going to do this forever. I'm not, but my plan as of right now is I have the WWE Network. I don't really like the current product, so if I want to get my wrestling fix, I have to go back and watch episodes. And I said, you know what, I like to do this. I've went through a lot of the Attitude Era Raws and SmackDowns and things of that nature, and now it's time, I feel, to go back to the Ruthless Aggression era. So what I decided to do is go back to right after the brand split. So March 25th, 2002, Raw and SmackDown were split. The rosters were split into two, into obviously Raw and SmackDown at this point now are considered to be, different shows competing against one another. You lose the WCW, obviously, with the Monday Night Wars. So Vince McMahon thought it was a good idea to create internal competition between the two brands. And I find that whole, idea exciting. We'll see how it works out as I go through these episodes. Again, I was a little kid when I watched this. So, in terms of me remembering much of it, I don't. And even if I did, my mindset and the way I watched the show was so much different back then because I was, 7, 8 years old at the time. But, I know a lot of things that ultimately will happen during this era, but in terms of just the week-to-week shows, I don't know what to expect, and I'm excited to go back and really watch it. So I started out with a WWF Raw review. At this time, at this point in time, it still is the WWF, not the WWE. That is soon to be coming here, I think, within a month or two, but... Sorry, guys. No corona fucking virus. I'm sorry. Just a little bit of a cough, Got to be a lot careful. We're all sensitive in this times. But, we're going to go back to WWF Raw, April 1st, 2002. The first Raw post-brand split. We are coming to you from Albany, New York. And, this is obviously a big time for the WWF because the brand split is new. It's fresh. It's the debut episode of Raw post-brand split. I think a lot of people back in that time probably didn't know what to expect. The rosters, looking at them now, I think they are pretty even. I would argue that SmackDown's got a lot more younger talent, but Raw's definitely got some top heavy. The roster is top heavy. But it's just exciting to see how it will work out. The show starts off, you got the new intro. I can't, if you're watching this video, let me know if you know what the theme song is at this point in time, but I don't know what the theme is. All I know is it kicks fucking ass, and it's the debut episode, I believe, of that theme song. The song rocks. I mean, maybe I'll put it in the next video or something so you guys can hear it. But it's a great intro. I'm sure if you watch it this time, you remember it. But you get the new intro. You get Ric Flair, who is the GM of Raw at the time, introducing you to the new era of WWF. And, like I said, you get the intro, and then the first thing you get out, and I couldn't believe this because you never see this nowadays, ever. We had a fucking match to start the show. Not a promo, not a 25-minute talking segment with the Authority or whatever kind of bullshit they got going on right now. You had RVD versus Booker T in an Intercontinental Championship match. RVD obviously comes out first. As he is the IC champion at the time. Big time match against Booker T. These are two guys I think are both well above average workers. Both really good workers, if you ask me. Both really athletic, can do a lot of things in the ring. Obviously, being that it was a TV match, it wasn't given quite the time that these two, if they were given, could put on a classic. This was just a decent match, an average television match, if you will. The match goes 6 minutes and 40 seconds. RVD defeats Booker T with the 5-star frog splash. And after the match, so RVD retains his title. After the match, you have Eddie Guerrero, who had not been there, was not drafted to Raw, but he shows up unannounced, at least to us as fans, attacks RVD from behind, ends up 5-star frog splashing RVD. God damn it, I can't fucking talk. So it sets up a feud. It's a great opening segment. You obviously what we're led to believe is we're gonna have the battle of the 5-star frog splashes going head to head for the IC title. And this, JR makes a great comment saying, obviously Ric Flair must have signed Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is now on Raw. I think throughout this episode, the number one thing I noticed and picked up on is how amazing JR was as an announcer and as a lead commentator. What he provided so much energy to these shows through the Attitude Era, through the Ruthless Aggression Era, really throughout the entire time he was there. But not having him as one, and just the shit announcing that they have nowadays, is one of the biggest things I noticed in this episode. Commentating, announcing makes a big difference when it's done properly and done well. JR does amazing during the opening match. He does amazing throughout the entire night. All in all, I rate things. I'm going to rate every segment on a 1, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, or 5 scale. 2.5 being average. I rated that match and that attack from Eddie Guerrero as a 3, which means it was good. It was a good segment, a 3 out of 5. 3 stars out of 5. Next thing we have is, it doesn't even actually go to commercial, which is nice. Vince immediately after the match comes into the ring. Vince, I guess I didn't mention this, he is the GM of SmackDown at the time. You have the Ric Flair on Raw, the Vince McMahon on SmackDown, that whole friction between the two. Again, the competition between the two brands, I like to see it. Vince comes into the ring, and basically he is there to try to sign Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was quote-unquote a free agent during the the prior week during the draft. He had to decide between which, show he wanted to end up on. I thought it was funny. Vince he's a great heel. Y'all know this. We saw it. And it was, the birth of him as Vince McMahon as the heel during the Attitude Era. He's still doing his thing here in the Ruthless Aggression Era. He is on Raw, which he's not supposed to be, but he don't give a fuck. He's trying to sign Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ric Flair comes out, basically tells him unless he bought a ticket, he needs to get his ass out the door. They kind of go back and forth. Vince basically says, there ain't nothing he could do about it, and there ain't anyone big enough or bad enough in that locker room to get his ass out of the building. Cue the Big Show's music, who was drafted to Raw just the week prior. Big Show comes out. Vince tries to tell him, look, I'll fucking work on a trade for your big giant ass. Leave me alone. I'm staying in the ring. Big Show grabs him by the throat, carries him out of carries him away from the ring, carries him all the way to the backstage area. Shoves Vince McMahon out the door. Vince's facial expressions, and he's just an amazing heel. And I thought that was it wasn't amazing or any type of earth-shattering type of segment, but I thought it was an average segment. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, average. Then we had the third segment of the night. We had William Regal, who was the European champion at the time, taking on Spike Dudley. This match went 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Spike Dudley gets the win, but this is the big difference, in my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree, between current WWE and, Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era type WWE. Was the match great? No, it wasn't. But the fact of the matter is, it's a television match. Not every match needs to be 15 minutes. Not every match needs to have all these high spots and kick out of finishers and all kinds of stuff. But they told a story in this match. William Regal comes out. He immediately puts the brass knucks into the turnbuckle. The ref sees him do it, and they have a good camera shot of the ref seeing him, putting the knucks in there. William Regal's walking around the ring waiting for Spike to come out. The ref, real sly, walks over to the turnbuckle, removes the brass knucks without William Regal noticing. The match gets going. William Regal controls the match early on, but Spike ends up kind of taking control. William panics, attempts to grab the brass knucks from the turnbuckle, and surprise, surprise, they are not there. Spike turns around, gets the W. William Regal's pissed, obviously. Doesn't really know what the hell happened. Nice for Spike. Good for him. This is the thing. Was it a great match? Hell no. It was 3 minutes and 43 seconds. But you know what? It was entertaining enough, and there was a point and a purpose to it. It wasn't just a filler bullshit segment. It wasn't a great match, like I said, but a 2.5 out of 5 stars. An average segment. There was a purpose to it. I can live with it. The next thing we have is Bubba Ray Dudley. Him and Devon obviously were separated in the draft. Devon went to SmackDown. Bubba went to Raw. We have Bubba Ray Dudley versus Raven for the Hardcore Championship. As you can notice, you got the European title, the IC title, the Hardcore title. Fuck, we had a lot of titles back then. But we have Bubba Ray Dudley, like I said, versus Raven for the Hardcore Championship. Raven is the champion at the time. This match only went 4 minutes and 6 seconds, but it was, there was some brutal shit going on. Hitting head with a big stop sign looking thing. Taking garbage cans to the head. There was a fire extinguisher or fire. God damn it, I can't fucking talk. You know what I'm talking about. There was a spot with that where Raven shot the smoke into Bubba Ray's face up on the top turnbuckle. Bubba was selling, making the match look brutal, really selling some spots. But ultimately, Bubba Ray gets the win. Post Dudley Boys being together, Bubba wins the Hardcore title on the very first night. Good for Bubba. All in all, this was, it was, again, a 4-minute match. Not all, crazy or anything super great, but give it a 2.5. There was some brutal spots. Bubba was, I thought he sold really well. 2.5 out of 5, an average match. Then next we had, out comes Ric Flair for Triple H's title presentation. Obviously at the time, Triple H is the undisputed champion. He is one of the, also Jazz, but he's one of the only ones that can appear on Raw and SmackDown. I believe the tag titles could as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Jazz and Triple H could both compete on both shows. Ric Flair's out there talking about how great Triple H is, basically sucking his cock in the middle of the ring. But then all of a sudden he is interrupted by keep rolling. The American Badass Undertaker, my favorite version of The Undertaker again. I'm sure there's people that are going to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. My preference. I love him as both, but I really liked him. I thought it was refreshing seeing him as the American Badass, and I think he does a really good job with it. Taker's basically upset about Triple H getting handed the title. Obviously, that makes no sense because Triple H earned it, but healed Undertaker's bitching about it. Obviously, at this point in time, for those of you who don't remember, he had been in a big-time major feud with Ric Flair. Hadn't been getting along for months. Like I said, Taker's pissed off. He says he's going to give Ric Flair another WrestleMania moment, basically saying he's going to beat the shit out of him. Out comes Triple H, who is looking unbelievably steroided up at this point in time. Holy shit. He rips his shirt off just to make it real clear to everybody. They go back and forth on the mic for a few. Triple H ultimately gets in Taker's face. They agree to fight at Backlash. And at one point, Triple H is literally right in Taker's face. Taker just smiles, says, they can fight at Backlash. So he retreats from Triple H, who had challenged him to a fight right then and there. And normally I hate that kind of shit when they make the heels look like wussies. But American Badass Undertaker was able to sell it. I thought he still looked like a beast. And the way he smiled at him, he didn't look like he was cowering away to me. It looked like he was just like, no, fuck you. This is my company. We're going to do things on my terms, not your terms. That's the impression I got from it. So it worked for me. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Good segment. Then we have, Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. Sorry about that. Versus Mr. Perfect and the Big Boss Man. This match wasn't very good. 3 minutes and 55 seconds. The Hardy Boys get the win. Mr. Perfect and Big Boss Man are their time in the company was about to be done here. soon, and it was a nothing match. The whole point of it was for what happened after, which was Brock Lesnar comes out and attacks the Hardy Boys from behind, destroys both of them, a brutal beatdown from Brock Lesnar, and it's setting up Brock Lesnar's first big feud in the WWF. All in all, I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Match sucked. I gave it about a half a star for the match, but then I'll give it 2 stars for the attack from Lesnar, so 2.5 out of 5 stars. Now we got the last few segments on the show. We had Terry versus Trish Stratus in a paddle on the pole match. This is kind of shit I miss as well. You know, college guys, adult males in general love this kind of shit. They need to. I wish they could throw some more of this type of shit on the shows currently. I know the women are taken much more seriously, you know, nowadays, which is great. I love me Charlotte's and Sasha Banks and Bayley's and all them, but it's nice to have a segment like this every now and then. The match went 1 minute and 17 seconds. Trish Stratus gets the win. The match was basically a nothing, but I'll give it 2.5 stars out of 5 just because it was, you know, they were in bikinis out there. It was great. Then we had Molly Holly attacks Trish after with the paddle, busted over Trish's head. The thing looked absolutely fucking brutal. Go back and check that out if you didn't see it, because it looked brutal right across the top of the head. Then we had Kane versus X-Pac with the NWO. This match sucked, if you ask me. It was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Kane wins by DQ when the NWO interferes. Bradshaw comes in to assist Kane. This was a shitty. This was my least favorite segment of the whole episode. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Boring segment. Then we had the final segment of the night. We had Ric Flair and Vince McMahon, both in the middle of the ring. They're trying to both convince Steve Austin to sign with their respective brands. Stone Cold comes out. He has the crowd on the tip of his fingers. He basically is the fucking man, and he knows it. And, Vince McMahon's trying to kiss Stone Cold's ass. He said he loves Stone Cold's What t-shirt. He tells Ric Flair not to interrupt Stone Cold. Stone Cold, as always, gets him shots in at Vince McMahon, flicks him off, asks him if he has had a chance to see this. Just a great segment. Stone Cold is fucking money. Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, PG Era, doesn't fucking matter. Stone Cold is the best in any of them. Ultimately, Stone Cold's, makes it look as if he's going to sign with SmackDown and Vince McMahon. As he's about to sign the paper, says, you know what, I forgot to let you know, I forgot to tell you one thing here, Vince. April Fools, obviously being April 1st, stuns Vince McMahon right there. Ric Flair goes absolutely ballistic, wants to drink some beers with Stone Cold, is acting a fool in the fucking ring. Ultimately, Stone Cold stuns his quaddy fucking bullshit ass right up the fucking, right onto the ground as well. Stuns them both. The Stone Cold's chugging beers. He does ultimately sign with Ric Flair and Raw. They make a point of showing he signs the Raw contract, sets it on, Ric Flair's fucking corpse laying in the middle of the ring. And again, JR, fucking amazing in the episode. His the way he's reacting, the way he's screaming, talking about how he makes it feel so big and so important. This is a memorable fucking segment. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember on PlayStation 2, I believe it was, the SmackDown Shut Your Mouth game had this exact segment in the video game where you got to be Stone Cold and you got to pick Raw or SmackDown. This was a great fucking segment. I loved it. I remember watching that segment as a kid. And the fact that I remember this segment from 18 years ago, it was a good segment. Stone Cold was just amazing, as always. And Ric Flair was funny during the segment. Vince was funny during the segment. Great ending to the show. JR sells it well. All in all, I gave that segment a 4 out of 5 stars. All in all, the MVP of the episode was Stone Cold Steve Austin. That last segment was unbelievable. The way he presented it was unbelievable. All in all, I'm going to rate every show 0 to 5. I gave this show a 2.7 out of 5 stars, which is a slightly above average show. If you could tell with my ratings, there was nothing too bad. The Kane NWO X-Pac was my least favorite, but even that wasn't awful. And there was just a lot of average stuff. The ending segment was amazing. All in all, though, a 2.7 out of 5 stars for the show, slightly above average. I am excited to get this, you know, the Raw, SmackDown, Ruthless Aggression Era reviews started, this whole new thing. I'm going to be back for SmackDown from April 4th, the first SmackDown post-brand split. I'll be back for that review here shortly, probably in the next day or two. So thanks for checking in, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know, did you go back and watch this episode? Do you remember this episode? What do you think of the Ruthless Aggression Era and the brand split? Thanks for checking in, guys, and I'll be back soon for fucking SmackDown, baby. See you guys. I'm out.